evil, malevolent, immoral. Three of the biggest threats against harmony and destroyers of friendship. King Sombra seems to be a figure of those abstracts. So how did King Sombra came known to be? About 1,000 years prior before the events of Season 3 in My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, it was said that King Sombra ruled an entire kingdom known as the Crystal Empire. The structure itself is made out of crystals. Perhaps some pony very powerful must have built it. Crystals are usually formed when magma and other molecules are interacting with each other, therefore cooling the liquid rocks, forming a brand new pattern of minerals in that mixture. Then the Crystal Empire was born, civilized by crystal ponies along with the Crystal Heart at the center below the palace. The Crystal Fair is held every once a year to celebrate the spirit of love and unity. Then that's where the Umbrum comes in, a giant reddish crystal that appears in the Arctic North alongside from the Crystal Empire. This is where Sombra learns about his past in the Friendship is Magic comic issue 1, and therefore the Umbrum were responsible for Sombra's existence. So technically Sombra isn't a pony at all. The ponies even mistaken him for a crystal pony. For one example to prove this, in Season 3 The Crystal Empire Part 1 episode, in a sequence the residents mistaken Rarity for a crystal pony. So the ponies escort Sombra to an orphanage where he is met by Princess Miyamura Cadenza, also known as the current ruler of the Crystal Empire. It's also to note that in Season 9, King Sombra gossiped about a legend claiming that Grogar being the father of monsters. If he is the creator, then that would also make Sombra the king of all monsters, as he elaborately makes a hoax saying that in the My Little Pony comics. You might be asking yourself, how did Sombra ever become king in the first place? Well, there are many forms of one individual becoming a king. In some cases, it usually involves being rich and highly powerful than anyone else. King Sombra is that example. We actually get to see his magic in the Season 9 premiere and even overpowered an alicorn such as Twilight Sparkle by herself. Despite the fact that the writers of the show chose King to emphasize Sombra's rightful role in the series, he does have a place where his magic is equal to an alicorn's magic, which kind of makes a resemblance to the Alicorn Amulet. However, it's unclear if Sombra and the Alicorn Amulet are connected. After Sombra learned about his true form and origin, he decided to go rogue to free the Umbrum. However, earlier in the comic, Princess Amora stated that Sombra could have changed his destiny. We also learned this in the My Little Pony comic issue 37 after the events of the Friendship is Magic issue 1, where Radiant Hope chose Sombra rather becoming a princess. After Sombra had hid the Crystal Heart, Princess Celestia and Luna banished him into the Arctic North from below. As I mentioned before, Sombra could have changed his destiny. The Crystal Heart was only predicting what could have happened. However, the artifact doesn't actually reveal your destiny, it shows your reflection of the future, initially warning him. Fast forward into the future, King Sombra made a physical appearance to take back his throne when he was ultimately defeated by Twilight and her friends. He then later made some cameos throughout the series and was brought back in Season 9 with some spoken dialogue. However, we never got any specific details in the animated series, but one thing to note is that after the events of Season 3, in an alternative timeline, the comics had shown where Radiant Hope had brought him back to fix the errors of her ways, and she even wanted to rule alongside with King Sombra in the Crystal Empire. We know that Sombra represents evil. However, the concept of evil has many forms of mandatory. If anything, why would you think the devil does what he does? If God created free will, then he invented evil. Therefore, he is an evil God. However, if evil was being sustained or removed by God, then free will would cease to exist, meaning that we would not have control over our lives. That is why the devil exists. His role is to punish those who created a sin. Although, I'm not suggesting that King Sombra represents the devil, but looking into the comics really describes how good inside Sombra is. He chose to make the right decision and therefore saved Equestria. Let's recap. Grogar created monsters, therefore he must have created the Umbrum, which had created Sombra, making him look and behave like a pony. The Crystal Guard took him in, and the ponies treated him well until he grew older. He later caused mayhem in the Crystal Empire, which was revealed in the Friendship is Magic comic issue 1, where he was then banished into the Arctic North by Princess Celestia and Luna, leaving a curse on the Crystal Empire, disappearing until 1,000 years later. Then Season 3 happens, the main characters ultimately defeat him. Fast forward to Season 9, King Sombra returns and gets vaporized again. In the My Little Pony Comics issue 37, Siege of the Crystal Empire Part 4, King Sombra is reformed. However, despite the fact that the comic came before Season 9, I feel like this comic had chronologically happened right after Sombra's defeat for the second time. In the end, Sombra has a happy ending. So there you have it. This has been my full speculation of King Sombra's origin. I hope you enjoyed the video or at least learned something. That is all. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.